up, come on up. So traditionally this is been put on by the library. Yeah. And we don't have a lot of controversy in our politics, but we got a bit. So what this is typically a chance to get to meet candidates for selectmen or select person, if we have a female, and to kind of talk about some of the items on the warrant, maybe get some more explanation before town meeting. Things go, although it takes 4 hours, things go quickly during town meeting. Sometimes it's helpful to sit around and talk beforehand and get a feel for what some of the articles are, and maybe some, have some ability to think about what you might want to say during town meeting. So typically we start off with the candidate portion. I know you.
I'm good.
I don't know you though.
I'm Joe.
Joe. So, good. I thought that's who you were. So, what we typically do is give the candidates an opportunity to kind of explain who they are, why they want to be selectmen, talk about things that may be important to them, and then open it up to a question and answer so people can ask questions. Standing up and putting yourself out there for public services is a pretty cool thing to do. It's important that we participate. So let's be nice. We typically are.
Do we have to?
You do have to. You do have to. I try not to get involved, but if I think the question's unfair or whatever, or one of the candidates didn't get a chance to respond, I try to give them a chance to respond or shut down questions that I don't think are unfair. I think that are unfair. But why don't I give you guys a chance to, so go ahead and pick a number between 1 and 2. You're wrong. You get to go first.
This is going to work already. Okay, so my name is Joe Hoover. I live at 81 Pigeon Brook Road. I've been here in this community for about 5 years now. I don't know anybody in this room, so that may be a good thing. I really don't have a platform other than I'm a new set of eyes, new set of ideas. I came from a small community, town of Fort Fairfield. Everybody here familiar with Fort Fairfield, Prescott, Caribou, Limestone area? So I kind of understand what happens to a small community when we have a big organization pull out, like Loring Air Force Base. Our town was totally devastated by Loring Air Force Base pulling out, and also the flood of 1998 that we had. We had a devastating flood with the Aroostook River. But with Loring Air Force pulling out, we had upwards of 6,500 people in our community. At this point in time, we have less than 3,000 people in our community. And it was part of because of Loring Air Force Base, but big businesses pulling out, businesses moving on somewhere else, coming to Southern Maine. And a lot of our taxpayers, a lot of our residents, that's where they ended up going, was Southern Maine, or Central Maine, the Bangor area. So, I have a lot of family that's down here now, and a lot of family that's in the Bangor area, but they've all migrated out of Northern Maine because of Loring Air Force Base and businesses moving out. And I saw a lot of our forefathers at the beginning, back in, I'm going to age myself, but in the 70s and 80s, not wanting big business or not wanting businesses coming into their small community. And my philosophy is we need big business, or we need businesses to come in our community. What if we have a handful of businesses in the town of Baldwin? 10, 12, 15?
Yeah.
4 or 5. Yeah, there's not a lot of businesses, and I want to promote business. If we can promote business, if we can bring them into Baldwin, then it's going to relieve the taxpayers. We're paying for the majority of the taxes in this community, and there's not a lot of big business or any business that's really paying for that. So we need to keep our eyes open, and you'll see these signs around these communities, these grants, and everything you get from the federal and state. They'll say, make your community business friendly. You'll see some of the signs. Fort Fairfield was one of them. Prescott was one of them. Freiburg is one of the towns that trying to welcome this big business. They don't always do a great job with it, because I know that they're fighting back and forth with Poland Springs. But I just want to I'm not just one person. I don't have my own agenda. I don't like to focus on a small group of people. I want to speak for everybody here involved. I want to be a voice of everybody here in the community. And that's kind of who I am. I'm a small town, hometown boy in northern Aroostook County, moved to southern Maine. I work at Memorial Hospital. I used to work in a nursing home in Portland, and I moved to Memorial Hospital, part of Maine Health, just a bigger organization. They take care of the people a little bit better. When you're dealing with, 50 employees in a small nursing home, when you go to an organization with thousands of people, benefits a lot better, pays a lot better. You see things like that, and it makes it easy for me to make a living, here. And I bring a lot of good ideas. I mean, I have a big budget that I work with Memorial Hospital. It's probably bigger than all of town, the town of Albany's budget. So I'm familiar with dealing with large amounts of money and making things run, and obviously making the hospital run. But my heart is with a lot of the senior citizens, a lot of where I've worked in 2 or 3 different nursing homes and dealing with, the residents, and you get a bond to that older population, and you see a lot of the older residents come in, and they've either been living with their kids, or they're struggling to make ends meet. They end up in a nursing home. Things are really tough for these people, and they talk about losing their home and losing the ability to live on their own and take care of themselves, and they lose that dignity and the ability to provide for themselves. So it hits you right here, and I know that we have a lot of elderly people in the town of Albany, but we need to take care of those people. So that's it.
Thank you. Okay. So it's say your last name again?
It's Boober.
Boober.
Boober. Now some people pronounce it Boobar, whatever you like to do.
Boober.
I went to the National FBI Academy, and one of the guys that was there was Ubar, like my last name, and he pronounced it Boobar. He goes, "Why do you say Boober?" I go, "Well, it's kind of a..."
Kind of what your parents told you?
Yeah, French Canadian thing,
Fair enough. All right, Boober, forget it. Go ahead.
I'm just about the opposite from Joe. Most of you people know me. I'm born and brought up here. I lived down the street just about a half a mile and stuff most of my life. I worked for the Merrill Company for 28 years. I retired from Spring Energy. I've had budgets to work with and stuff, and I have to stay within those budgets and everything. Most of my stuff was with machinery, had to keep machinery running and stuff, whereas yours was probably people and stuff, my guess would be. So, still got some few irons in the fire here now. A few more things I'd like to get done. The Aroostook County thing. My wife's mother lives in Ashland. I know it well. Last time we was up there, I know what you're feeling of the base. The last time we was up there, we drove right onto the DFAS base, right onto the runway. And 20 years ago, you couldn't get notice near that place. You've seen that much of a change, and the housing is falling apart like that and stuff. It's kind of a sad thing to see. So, like I said, most of you know me.
He's banking on questions.
All the questions.
Yeah. So if you have questions, just raise your hand. I'm pretty good about remembering where to go. We'll start with Jeff and go to Wes.
So I'd just like to ask Mr. Hoover, what is your job title? I mean, you say you work someplace. I don't know what that means.
I am the facility manager and the security manager for Memorial Hospital.
Thank you.
So they've got me running 2 roles. They hired me as the security manager. We developed a new security task force, and with my 25 years of law enforcement, they thought, wow, we're going to grab this guy. And of course, the facilities part of it was kind of my hobby. Driven by my house. I mean, I've done all the work in my house, and I'm just that type of guy. I just like to do things, handyman, plumbing, the electrical, the this or that, or whatever it may be. So, that's what I was doing in a nursing home in Portland, and was kind of the facilities person there and was the security person there, but wasn't like a big hospital. So, but that's what I do over there. And they're trying to throw another job title on me, and I said, enough's enough.
Russ.
Okay, I have two questions, Joe. One is, what's so attractive about the position of selectman that makes you motivated to run for it?
I think that's an unfair question.
Okay. Okay.
You want to know why he wants to be a
Well, I don't think that it's attractive. I've just seen the last 4 years that I've been here, and I'll be honest with you, my taxes have gone up the last 2 or 3 years. I'm very concerned about that. Yes, I've done improvements to my property, they should have gone up. But again, it's concerning to me. I've had a lot of businessmen, not a lot of business, we don't have a lot of businesses involved with it, but a lot of people have come up to me and they're concerned. They're concerned about the taxes, they're concerned about our mill rate, our appraisal, so on and so forth. And they're looking for someone with some new ideas. So,
Okay.
I'm about new ideas. Open mind.
You only get one question.
I'll come back.
Alright. You want to talk about anything he's talked about so far? No, where it is.
Listen.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Go second. You're.
Okay.
And you're not gonna be mean to me, are you?
She told me not to.
Okay.
But I always do what Janet does.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, see, I lost my train of thought now. Do you feel that the new businesses would come into this town even though we have no local school?
Absolutely. I mean, we have another alternative. We're paying taxes to have our kids go somewhere else to a newer facility or a newer school. So that's not gonna stop people from coming into our community. How long does it take for our students to go to, say,
Anywhere from a half an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to ride the bus.
I think I don't know a lot about Baldwin and why they chose to do what they did, but I can probably answer that question by looking at the building where the school was and looking at the fixes. Let me back up a little bit about Fort Fairfield and what we did there. Fort Fairfield had a police department, had a fire department, had a library, had a rec department, and community development, and our highway department. They were all in their own buildings, all around town. So we were paying for electricity, we were paying for heating and fuel for all those buildings in upkeep. A lot of money. So when, probably it's been 10 or 12 years ago, a lot of the Army National Guard were moving out of the communities. We're familiar with when they started closing down. So Fort Fairfield obtained the armory in their town. They bought it for $1. So what the town chose to do was to sell the fire department, police department, complex building, and consolidate, put everybody in one building. We borrowed $300,000 and had that paid off in 1 year just by consolidating all of these buildings into one. So our fire department, our rec department, our police department, our town office, code enforcement, everybody's under one roof. And we saved money by doing so. Only had one building other than the highway. They had their own building. And of course, we didn't want all those trucks there and then the building. But everybody was in one building. We saved a lot of money by doing that. So going back to the school issue, I mean, we were probably sinking a lot of money into that school just to maintain it. I mean, I wasn't fond of, Baldwin choosing to go in the school, right or wrong, and keeping that old school. I mean, they could have probably built a smaller building and had the town office at one little small branched out home type building compared to this great big building, which is not providing any revenue and it seems to be costing us money. That being, I see they're doing electrical work to it now. There's probably lead paint, there's probably asbestos in the building. I see they're borrowing money to put a new roof on part of the building. A lot of upkeep for a big building for, a fire chief and, a couple town office workers. I mean, you may shoot me down, but it is what it is, people.
But maybe you could talk a little bit about the building, but whether or not, like, I mean, is it a good idea, a bad idea, is it a,
I think at the time, we look at real estate prices around here, they're skyrocketing right around here right now. When that building became available to us, it was 12 acres of land, a full playground, and a building for $75,000. What do you get for $75,000? So, I mean, you know, a camp on Sand Pond now is $250,000. You know, so just to put stuff in perspective and stuff like that. So, yes, it costs some money, and yes, we are doing some light upgrades right now. We've got a grant, you know, that we've secured and stuff. And this light upgrade should turn itself around dollars and cents wise. They say 1.8 years. I'm going to round it to 2. I think it'll take a little longer. The heat, the way the building is set up, we got to heat the whole building with a boiler on it. Because the boiler's on one end, it's a closed system, pushes all the way around and stuff. The after-school program for the kids, it makes about $10,000 a year right now, clear and stuff. So that seems to be supporting itself. Plus, we're getting a lot of good. Plus, we get kids playing on that playground playing now and stuff. So we looked at congregating fire department stuff together once, and this town it's one town, but it's 3 towns. You know, so if you had everything at the community center, and you had a fire in West Baldwin or North Baldwin, you know, your response time is going to be considerably more to get that. Plus, we've looked into some stuff, and the insurance rates are going to climb. So, I mean, that was another thing. That's why the 3 fire departments stand together. And in the town report, the $10,000 that they're asking for is for the roof of the West Baldwin Fire Station. Now, I'm not going to tell you we don't have some issues with the roof. We don't have no leaks or anything. But I'm not going to tell you we're not going to sometime. You know, we on a flat roof, sometimes we're going to have some problem with it. I don't, to buy something and purchase the land and then build something new. I mean, I've heard this argument and stuff, but like I say, for what we've already spent, I think we got a pretty good deal.
Norm, you had a question?
Mr. Brewer, I got actually kind of a 2-part question. A couple weeks ago, you had an ad in the Shoppers Guide, display ad. Among the bullet points, you indicated that you had, I think, 30 years experience in municipal matters.
Municipal government, yes.
Specifically, what'd you do?
I was a chief law enforcement officer. I was chief of police for the town of Fort Fairfield. I graduated from high school in 1984 and became a law enforcement officer in 1989. I was promoted to sergeant within 2 years of my position as a patrolman. And I stayed in that town for 28 to 30 years, just working as a law enforcement officer. The last 17 years, I managed our police department budget. My police department budget at the time was $328,000 for the police department itself, but it was supplemented by federal grants, Homeland Security grants. A lot of what was going on with 9/11 was supplementing a lot of what we needed for equipment from federal grants, so I have a lot of experience in grant writing. But out of those 17 years that I was chief of police for the town of Fort Fairfield, I never went over a budget once. I was always turning my back money into general revenue.
That's good. And aside from the PD, how about municipal operations? Any, aside from banging heads with the town managers and those guys?
No, it's typically been,
Is it town manager down up there?
yes, it's town manager and 5 councilmen, with the chair. So, when I got out of law enforcement, my wife and I traveled to Missouri. I worked for Midway USA. How many are familiar with Larry and Brenda Potterfield? Okay.
I'm a good customer.
Thank you for your business. So let me tell you a little bit about big money. Now, if you want to see big money, go to work for Larry and Brenda Potterfield. Back when when the school shootings all started and everybody was all concerned about they're not going to get parts for their guns or not going to be able to buy certain ammunitions. They were producing, just on internet sales a day, $40 million a day in internet sales for anything to do with hunting or fishing. Okay, most of it was ammunition and parts to buy guns. They don't sell guns, but you could buy parts for guns. This was a day. We were pushing upwards of $300, $400, $500 million a month out of that organization, and they had profit sharing. So the more money they made, the more money I made. I started out in facilities there, and I worked my way up to kind of like a facility manager. Those buildings are quite big, bigger than what you see around here. They had 5 huge buildings there. I worked in the Washington building, which was their storage building, and I kind of did their safety things, so the fire safety, fire suppression, things like that, the electrical safety part of it, so on and so forth. So I worked for Linda and Brenda Potterfield, and then I had an opportunity to come back to Maine because we kind of got homesick and wanted to get back to Maine itself, and we decided that we're going to come to southern Maine. My sister's in Cape Elizabeth, and she called me up. She goes, "Joe, you got to come back." And I go, "Okay, why?" She goes, "Well, we need a facilities director. Ours just retired." I said, "What are you paying?" So that's what drew me back, and my wife came back, and she went to work for Portland Police Department. Stayed there for a little over a year, and thought that the big city was for her. We're both small town people, and Portland was just like. So she went to Freiburg, and that's where she was today.
More questions? Yeah, I waved him off.
I'm referring to the old guy.
You gotta watch over that wave. Hi, my name is Gary McNeil. I was on the board of selectmen for 23 years. It's not an easy job, and I do commend you for being interested in your town and wanting to serve. Well, with Dwight, completing 3 years, he comes from a family that served the town well. His father was on the board of selectmen, his uncle and his cousin, school board. I mean, great family, conscientious. I'm not to speak to him, he speaks for himself. But it's a tough job, it's a learning process. Some of the things that you brought up in terms of more business into the town, when I was on the board of selectmen, we actually did a survey, and when the survey came back, the people said that they didn't mind having small business, mom and pop, a knit shop, perhaps, a craft shop, or this or that. They did not want big business. I'm not, people change their minds, different situations come up. But at that particular time, they didn't want big business in the town. I don't think the planning board that we have on staff being overly critical, but we certainly didn't want to be in a position where you allow businesses to come in and now you're dealing with pollution, you're dealing with what are we going to do with the byproducts, left over like SD warrants or whatever, what are we going to do with this stuff? We've got it. So part of that deal, if you look at the school up there, which I would only add what White said. I was on the board at that time, and we had a unique situation because Baldwin School was built before it went into the SAD system. Mm-hmm. So when Hiram School came up for sale, as hard as they tried because they couldn't come up with a dollar amount, that building got sold out from underneath them. We had the luxury of first refusal and offer because we owned the school when we turned that over to the district. So I think, like White said, I think that we definitely, the amount of land that we got and the building, yeah, it needs improvement, but everything needs improvement. I live in a 230-year-old farmhouse, improving it all the time, working down around my ears. We had Paul Howe.
But that's coming out of your pocket, not the taxpayers.
That's true. That's true. But we had Paul Howe with signs up there. Hope was we had a gentleman come down from the town of Portland or yeah, and part of the deal might have been a little bit different, but it looked like the Grayson sliced bread because they had purchased the old school. They had the space was filled up almost immediately, And that's what our hope was up here, is to rent out those rooms and space, so, you know, in a perfect world, with the birds singing and the sun shining, and I think perhaps down the road that will happen, and it'll be self-sufficient. It has nothing to do, you know, with Dwight or whoever the selectmen are. They didn't purchase a pick and a poke, and then, there was conversations about, let's bowl the building down, let's put a central fire station here. And as Dwight said, when you look at the way the town is laid out, when you lose a life, when you lose a house over in North Baldwin because of the response time, a central location, you're gonna hear about it. So, but I was just wondering, I'm sorry you had the shopper's guide, so when you were running, I was wondering if it was something specifically that Dwight did, and that's why you think that,
Absolutely.
you know,
I would never run for a position because of something someone else did.
okay.
I'm part of this community now, we've been here for 4 or 5 years, and I want to be part of this community. I don't have any plans on leaving unless my wife decides that we're going to leave tomorrow.
We all get that, we all get that.
So, you know, and to go back to, it wasn't a question, you're trying to explain to me what's going on. It's not about big business, it's about business in general. It could be a Dollar General. It could be small stores, mom and pop stores. It could be, we're kind of like a bedroom community. So if we're a bedroom community, then bring more residents into our community. Okay, they could pay. No, I see a lot of people, but if you want to pay the burden of taxes for this community and continue to support what we're supporting today, then that's fine. But if you want to see your taxes lowered, then we need to bring business into our community, or more people into our community, and sell some property, build some homes.
Why did you move to Baldwin? Why did you move here? Why do you live in Baldwin?
Because I found a home that was reasonably priced. It was close to Sevago Lake. It was an area that we liked.
Okay, and we liked it as well, so that's.
Other questions?
But you guys like it the way it is. Yeah. And pretty soon, you know, tumbleweeds are gonna start blowing down the street and things are gonna dry up because you can't support what the town's asking you to support.
That's global warming, that's totally. Okay, you got a question, new voices and Wes, if you want to come back in, you can get in this too.
Okay, so if you're successful in your endeavor, you'll see me again. After a while, you won't want to see me anymore.
Oh, so it's a bad thing.
Look, there's a lot to like about Baldwin,
Mhm.
but there is a 4-letter word. I'm going to use it. ROAD. Now, I'm an ecologist, scientist, so in the federal government, I'm repressed now. I'm not allowed to, interfere with the work of the federal government. But here in Baldwin, I, a while back, asked a former member of the select board whether we had the equipment to handle our unpaved roads. And I was assured that yes, we did. And when I discussed the situation with some of my neighbors who have a similar problem, they told me that the road commissioner was telling them that no, we didn't have the equipment we need. Be that as it may, I would invite anyone, and we'll have coffee and donuts or anything you'd like, just to come visit me now. Tomorrow will be a great day to come.
Somewhere you live, so he understands.
If he wants to come, I'll be
I
there.
do have a 4-wheel drive.
So he
Look,
doesn't.
I wouldn't be here tonight if I didn't have 4-wheel. But the point is this. Part of this is the 3 fire departments. These guys seem to have a lot of camaraderie and some friendly competition, and I think it's a great idea that we have sort of the various points covered. But if they get off the paved roads, they might as well just be 1 fire department. Because each one of them is going to have a lot of problems, even without global warming and the threat of forest fire in this heavily forested community.
So how do we fix our roads? How do we fix our roads? We fix our roads with money. So where does that money come from? The taxpayer. Okay, and that's coming out of the residents' pockets, the people that own these homes. If we don't have business to help us supplement that, we can't build your road, we can't buy the equipment.
The equipment my road would take, supposedly we already have, and if it were used properly according to the state requirements, we'd have culverts of the size we need, and we certainly would have ditches, so the road wasn't the lowest part of the place we have to
I have a story about my culvert, my driveway.
I can top it, but I'll listen to it.
So when I called and said that my culvert's plugged and I didn't want my driveway to be washed out, I figured they would show up with a backhoe and dig it out. One guy showed up with a round pointed shovel, and that was it. He dug out the front of the culvert and left. End of story. This was 3 years ago, and I go, well, that's not helping me any. So
I've been involved since 1964. And
we still had that round
we
pointed
had
shovel.
these big culverts, stone culverts, and they were massive, and they handled the water nicely. But after I built a new home up there, those were removed and undersized, in some cases not even no culvert put in. But this is getting too lengthy. The point I'm trying to make is we need more attention paid to our unsurfaced roads so the fire departments and any other kind of service can reach us any time of year.
And I absolutely agree.
Reasonable safety.
So Dwight, why don't you, I know you don't want me to ask you any questions, but no one else is going to ask you because they know you. What is your thoughts about the unpaved roads, the equipment, and the upkeep that has?
It's all money. You know, if you want your taxes to go up, we'll build your road. You know, but it's gotta be voted on by the people. You know, it can't be just a few people.
But at town meeting, I keep hearing how much more now it's costing to keep up the paved roads. So I think I'm talking not that big of bucks.
When I used to drive truck, a load of asphalt, liquid asphalt was $2,000.
One asphalt.
That same, well, I'm just telling you what road costs are. That same load of asphalt today is $25,000. Gravel is the same way. We used to be able to get crushed gravel for like $3 a yard. Now crushed gravel is $14 a yard. So the expenses are up there.
So the potholes, but they're down.
Let me just throw this out, and I'll probably get a lot of naysayers, I'll probably get a lot of upset people, or maybe have some people say, yeah, it's a great idea. Poland Springs, okay? Here we are. Poland Springs, and again, I don't know a lot about Poland Springs, but if you get a taxpayer like Poland Springs in a community like Baldwin, they've built fire departments, they've built police departments, they've built roads. They spend millions of dollars into our small community's economy. So you would get your road built, the fire department would get a new building with all brand new apparatuses, with police department, which you don't have, but I'd be more than happy to run it for you. If we decided to grow, or if we happen to grow, 1,000 people, couple thousand people, 3,000 people, you never know.
So you're getting comments. So there's a lady in the back who hasn't spoken. So I'd like to do new voices first, but then Joe.
I defer.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. So do you have an idea about how much in property taxes Poland Springs, or how much in taxes? How does the town benefit from Poland Springs? Are they actually getting tax revenue from Poland Springs? Because I know one of the realities is that in order to attract big businesses to town for the jobs, that the big companies don't have to pay that much in taxes to the town. So I'm just wondering if are you coming in with some numbers about how much a big business like that would
This is what's going on right now. They're looking for towns that will give them tax income and finance it. And if the town won't give them tax income and finance, they move to another town. And the town of Hollis, where the big plant is, they give them a 10-year plan over there. At 6 years, they was going to fold up and move out. Remember when the state was asking to pay a couple pennies per gallon for traction rights and stuff like that? They was going to move. So they'd have lost 10 years of taxes right there on just that thing. So it's a tricky situation.
I mean, I can understand the jobs benefit, but if you're point is to bring big businesses.
It doesn't have to be
Property
big
tax
business,
game.
just business in general. Look at Cornish people. You have Bay Haven, you have Fairgrounds, you have Christus, you have, what's the other restaurant down the end of the street? Frat Boys.
That was.
Cornish is a small community. Look at the tax revenue those 5 or 6 residents or businesses are bringing into the town of Cornish. Maybe some people don't want the traffic, but they're gonna build your roads, they're gonna provide, it doesn't have to be big business, it doesn't have to be Polar Springs. Whatever happens to the pellet mill that we're supposed to do, is that,
Sanford,
They're in Sanford.
why?
because Sanford gave tax benefits,
They got a source,
and they had sources.
they had a source of
I mean, I heard it was going to be behind my house, which I was kind of like, do I really want it behind my home? But again,
That's the feeling that most of the people that live in Baldwin have about business. They don't want it behind their home. They don't want it in their backyard.
So 1, 2 again, unless you wanted to defer, but go ahead.
So I'd like to ask both candidates, what are the problems, what are the challenges, I should say, that you see facing Baldwin in the next 3 years?
He's gonna run out.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I see the 95 corridor is filling up. Mammoth, Cumberland, Pownell, Gray. They're headed this way. You've got, as you well know, you've got 3 housing developments in front of you right now for Fremont Avenue, Sand Pond. The other thing is land prices here are still cheaper than they are Cumberland. Like I say, Gray again, just using that as an example. So I think we're gonna see houses built. Business, when they put the Gorham bypass in, that was set up to take more businesses. If you look right now, there's one being built right now, there's a big business on the 202 side of it, stuff down there. Any big business, I think it will be probably, I hate to say it, but I don't think we're gonna see it for 20 years out here. You know, because look at transportation. You're that close to the 95 corridor. And I would love to see a Poland Spring warehouse here. I would love to see that, but just, I don't think it's in the cards, logistically.
We just have to keep an open mind, Let them know that we're welcome to new ideas, and let the taxpayer, not just the people in this room, everybody involved with, have a say with what they would like to see in their community.
What do you think the challenges over the next 3 years are gonna be for the town? That was Mark's question.
The next 3 years, I mean, we've kind of got Southern Maine, like Dwight was saying, I mean, we could be a bedroom community. I mean, Portland's filling up, Gorham's filling up, Sedago Lake area is filling up, and everybody's moving this way. So we need to make room for these people, or these people are gonna, why? If you want your roads built, if you want the fire departments, to be where they should be, you want the highway department to have the trucks, the graders, the the equipment they need to do their snow removal.
I've got four-wheel drive, I'm not worried about it.
You're just one person though, dear. You're just one person.
And my road hasn't been touched, and I've been promised for 3 years.
And I live on Pigeon Brook Road. Have you been down the Pigeon Brook Road lately?
Yeah, this
I
happens.
have.
Yes.
We're approaching mud season.
It needs a lot of work.
Norm.
We've lost 3 businesses in the last few years. We had a bunch of tin knockers down in Larry Seidel's place. They were making ductwork for stuff. They left town because they said, it's too far from Portland, that's where they do all their business. Why would they need to come way out here in the morning and bang on their tin and drive back and forth, drive back at night? They left. We had a trucking company, Bob Jewett, became Jewett Newman, and Debbie told me, I think they were registering 14 or 15 good-sized trucks, good dough for the town. They went towards the coast, for the same reason. Why, they're in the wrong place, Baldwin's in the wrong place. And we're halfway on the way to nowhere. We had a $30 million pellet mill approved. They went through, after their approval, they laid low for 2 years trying to find money. They laid low for another 2 years, and a conditional use permit lasts 2 years unless you actually do something with it, and then it dries up, goes away. They went to a second 2-year thing, they expired last September, October. We don't have a pellet mill in town. Boy, that $30 million would have turned into some tax money. One of the troubles with Baldwin is, again, we are halfway on the way to nowhere. Plus, we had a lot of your neighbors down on Pigeon Brook Road that got into the NIMBY mode. No, I don't want that. Anyway, you mentioned earlier that you want to bring business in town. If everybody here promises not to tell outside this room, what is your magic secret idea to get businesses in this town?
Just be open-minded. Just be open-minded and listen to what these people have to say and put our feelers out there. Start talking to people, see if there's any interest to come this way. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be big business. Let me go back to the town of Fort Fairfield a little bit. We had a biomass energy plant that was built in Fort Fairfield back 20-some years ago. Ask me where that biomass plant is today. They just tore it down. They just ripped it down. And probably 80% of the tax rate for the town of Fort Fairfield is coming from that biomass. So I hear you when it comes to big business. You know, we wined and dined these guys to bring in this biomass plant along with Ashland. I don't think their biomass, theirs has gone down too.
I don't think it's running right now.
Yeah, I think that.
No, they got running again a couple months ago.
The pellet plant.
The pellet plant is up.
Pellet plant.
Yeah,
But the biomass, the electrical,
Yeah, I think that's still flat.
I think they've actually ripped it down, and the guy that was actually working there worked at Memorial Hospital and works on our boilers now. So John and I would go way back. I can remember you and Pete Powers. How many of you know Pete Powers? Probably not. He used to work at Fort Fairfield, and he's way down here in southern Maine. So the day that I walked into Memorial Hospital, I went out to look at our RFO, or renewable fuel source, because we burn renewable fuel over there. It's kind of like, I call it molasses. It's not like a barbecue. If you walk in the hospital, you think someone's barbecuing there. But it's a biomass, or not a biomass, it's a fuel that looks like molasses. It's feed, it's animal feed with wax and wood bark. They combine it somehow and put something else in it, and that's wood bark instead of fuel oil. So we get all these tax breaks from the state of New Hampshire and the federal government because we're green friendly and we burn RFO and not number 4. We don't have to pay emissions. But anyway, that's.
Well,
That's
I tried for 3 decades to drag businesses in here, talk to all kinds of people. We even had one that wanted to make specialty vodkas. There you go.
I remember that.
Again, they look at us and we gave them a happy reception and they ain't here now. So, best of luck to you if you can do it. I'll buy you a beer, maybe a specialty vodka.
Yeah, and that, I don't necessarily have a question for either candidate, but more of like a group discussion as far as allowing business in town. I think maybe when Joe said, a big business, maybe some of you really were like, oh my God, we don't want, I think he's on the line of the right path of, allowing anything in here to generate revenue. I know a lot of places I go in town or outside of town, representing the fire department and things, when people get their tax bills or this and that, they essentially want to attack me because, they think that we're just free spending and buy this and that, but a standard that I know just the fire department's held to, whether it's an NFPA or it's the Department of Labor, OSHA standard, our costs and annual training and such go up every year. When you're buying anything to do with the fire department, whether it's a reflective vest to turnout gear to a thermal imaging camera, gas detector,
every year, the inflation, the price of it, it's sky high, and it would scare you on the price of some of this stuff, and it's not going down. It's only gonna keep going up, so we need, that infrastructure somewhere to support that. You're always gonna need a fire department, you're always gonna need your roads taken care of. So, I know my tax bill's gone up as well, and, I know the more residents you bring in, you also gotta, figure in the fact of whether they need an emergency service, that's gonna cost too, but not every resident, calls 911 every year, or their house burns every day. Like, you need to be able to bring that money in to sustain what's going out, and like, I know the fire department, in just the last 5 years, we spent an astronomical amount of money just catching up on, structural gear, trucks, like, a fire truck that we paid $305,000 for this past year, or a year ago, if we were to buy that same exact truck today, the price of inflation, that takes $330,000. So, a lot of us in this room are, middle-aged, we're gonna be around a while. You need to look ahead, you need to look ahead of what's beyond just.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. We need to start thinking outside of the box to try to supplement, your budget. Find other ways to bring these new trucks in. Case in point, Town of Fort Fairfield bought a brand new pumper, $300,000. Okay, they took it out on the road during a snowstorm, a complete whiteout. I had an accident. There was a pulp truck stuck in the middle of the road. The ambulance was stuck there with them also. And the person in the ambulance was in cardiac arrest. We had to get to him, but they took this brand new pumper out, which didn't need to get out there. We just need to send. They totaled that brand new pumper. They hit the log truck, the complete whiteout. They didn't really need to take that brand new pumper out there. They had a pickup with a team of people that could have gone out there. But the insurance paid for the new truck. We had 9/11 that had happened. There was a bunch of new trucks and federal grants out there. All the fire chief did was drive to, I think it was New York or Florida, and received a brand new truck. Well, it was a brand new truck, but it was a relatively new truck. It was probably like 6 or 7 years old, free of cost. So he went down there, he got the brand new truck, he drove it back, the insurance paid for it, we had 2 brand new pumpers. That's thinking outside of the box. Because he called, he asked. And then he started writing grants for equipment, star air packs, thermal imaging cameras. All that stuff was paid for by grants. Loring Air Force Base closed. One of the good things about Loring Air Force Base closing was all of their equipment went to auction. It was free. So first responder, law enforcement, fire departments, we just had to go there and sign a piece of paper. You wouldn't believe the stuff we were bringing back there. But you have that opportunity too, as a town. Brunswick, they have auctions all the time. Who has the first dibs on that type of equipment? Thank you. We do, as first responders. We can go to those auctions, even if we have to pay $100 for something that's worth $10 or $15 or $20,000. It's a piece of equipment. It could be something to fix his road. It could be a D9. It could be, that payloader that we need or the excavator we need. We can get it free of charge. I mean,
if not free of charge, for a very minimal amount of money. Those options are out there, you just need to pursue them.
So speaking about our town, I just have one more story. I'm sorry. I mean, we were a double township. Town of Fort Fairfield was a double township. We had 151 square miles to patrol with our police cruiser plus our fire department. We had one department. Okay? And we ran into the same insurance thing because response time. So if you weren't within the fire department or within a particular response time, then your insurance rates went up. So what they did was put more dry hydrants in, more mutual aid agreements, and got some more tankers. The tankers they got free. So they were able to get the water there a lot quicker. And they weren't running, shutting down their pumpers and running to the closest hydrant and filling back up. And by the time they get back, the holding tank was empty of water. They always had pumpers lined up. They had great mutual aid agreements with, Prescott, Sherwood, with Limestone, with, Easton. Everybody worked together. I suspect that you probably did the same thing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dwight, anything to add?
No.
Okay. More questions? We got one back there and then Jeff.
I was on the board of selectmen for 30 years, we went to surplus for forever. We didn't go without going to surplus, we got a lot of equipment. We even got a couple of gentlemen here that went all the way to Florida to pick up a fire truck and bring it back. So this is nothing new to us, but our tax is still low.
Why is that?
A lot of it's the school.
So what do we do to fix the school?
What do you do? Right now, we're paying I think it's $123,000 or $125,000 a month. With a 4% increase, we're gonna be looking at towards $130,000 a month.
That's for the schools,
That's just the school. Just
Because we're coming
Just-
from county.
because we're Cumberland County. The only reason for that, because we're Cumberland County, and they're not.
So I don't think that we're gonna change that.
No.
So we have to start thinking outside of the box. How are we gonna supplement those funds that we're paying to keep our schools going? And we all wanna take care of our children. I don't have any children in the school system, but I'm paying taxes. Doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
Is I attend most selectmen's meetings and most planning board meetings, and there was a time when I actually attended every school board meeting for too many years. And yet I've never seen you, Mr. Booger, at any of those meetings. And you don't need to be a selectman to make your suggestions. I wonder if just going to meetings and listening and learning about the town and what's been done in the past, and then seeing what could be added to what's already been done, might be a better choice and might be more effective for you.
It may or may not.
That's true, it may or may not,
That's
but it might be more
that's your
effective
opinion,
if you learn more about the town.
And I agree with you I agree with you 100%. I should know more about Baldwin. So if I don't know enough about Baldwin, you don't think that I know enough about Baldwin, then don't vote for me. But if you want to have someone that's seen communities grow, okay, and have a few different ideas and come from a different perspective, and we've had the same kind of small town attitude. We don't want big business. We don't want our mom and pop stores to go away. We don't want anybody, is the owner of Whistle Stop here?
No.
We don't want anybody to compete with Whistle Stop, the general store that we have here in town, because, they're doing pretty good. But sometimes, they're not. Geez, every time I go, there's a line.
You should have been there when the other owners was there.
Yeah.
More questions, comments, concerns, queries?
Competition is good.
Competition. Nothing? Come on.
Has the town of Baldwin talked anything about the medical marijuana?
Yeah.
And where's
Because I can
that?
tell you Freiburg is loaded right now.
Yeah.
And that was a hot topic for a while. Do you do it, do you not? And Freiburg's a lot like here, old school, old, doesn't want anything there. They want all the services, but they don't want to bring anything in. And they had a big long talk, and I can tell you, we have 3 or 4 right now right in town that you drive right by and they're there.
Yeah. Anybody want to talk about what?
I'm just curious, because I work over there, I live in Baldwin, it's on the hot topic, and I'm just wondering if Baldwin, we've talked
And
about
I'm old
this
school when it
anywhere.
comes to marijuana.
And I am too, I'm not a fan, but I'm saying that the town had to sit back and go,
Yeah,
we're trying to bring this
we were
business
one of the
into it, you know?
first. We were one of the
Everybody
first.
disagreed.
Yeah, I mean, so.
No matter what you do, it's around. You got a grow house just up the street here, 300 yards.
Either you do it legally, or you do it illegally, that's what, and they go get it legally, and then they stop and get it, and.
Norman, you did a lot of work on this. When you was on the planning board and stuff here on the marijuana stuff, and that's why we're limited to one grow house in town now and stuff. But, Jason, what are you seeing when you go to fires and stuff?
Oh, I'm seeing it,
yeah.
I
I know where it is, it's 2 or 3 places.
I can throw
We all
around
do.
a couple places from here, what do you say, what do you do,
Just throwing that out there,
Yeah,
I can tell you, I have not had a report or been to one of those establishments yet.
You
On a
know,
criminal matter, so.
I'm the same way, like, I'm very old school about it, I don't
Yeah,
care for
I
the
do.
stuff, I don't like it, and, you tell these people, no, you can't do it. And basically, you're telling them to keep their money. You know, when essentially you could take it and put it in your pocket, because they're doing it anyway. They're doing it anyway.
Norm, you had your hand up.
As far as retail marijuana establishments, I don't know as there's a whole heck of a lot there for the town to tax. You got a bit, as far as I know, I mean, I'm a Labatt's guy myself. But, as far as I know, they got a bunch of shelves in there, they got some glass jars with screw tops on them, and they got a cash register. There's nothing to tax, it's not.
But they're renting a space, they're renting a building, they're renting a space in town, or they're paying taxes in their home, in their staff, I mean, I'm just throwing that out.
If you're gonna pursue the personal property.
Yeah, their personal, yeah.
Your personal property.
They're bringing business in.
You know, there's plenty of.
I would, if I could continue without being interrupted too much, the taxes on that structure would be paid one way or the other, whether it's vacant or folks living in it or marijuana. Again, I just don't see the infrastructure like the machinery needed to build a $30 million pellet mill. Holy cow, that's something taxable. And I'd like to see that, but like I say, I think I'm gonna be old and dead for it happens.
You need to find a way to wine and dine these people. If you want them in your community and you want them to pay the taxes or to help with the taxes, then you need to find a way to wine and dine them.
I've always got a case of Labatt's down south.
Yes.
Didn't the town already vote no on any legal marijuana store here in Baltimore?
The retail marijuana, we voted to not allow it, but there's medical marijuana, we don't have a choice on that, so there's quite a few medical marijuana growers in town that are legal above board.
They can't sell it legally here in town.
They cannot sell it as a retail item now,
No.
but they can sell it through the medical marijuana.
You can't sell it to you, Alan.
Thank God.
The problem is you can tell them they can't, but they still are.
Think about the conversation we're having here, people. We've talked about Poland Springs, we've talked about a pellet mill, we've talked about medical marijuana or a marijuana dispensary. There's three things. We could go on and on. We need people to be involved in our
More
community.
ideas.
More ideas. Start talking. Start voicing your opinion. I mean, I'm only one person. I need to rely on everybody in this community to go out and start talking. You know, Jason, I live in Baldwin. Baldwin could do something like that. If I knew Larry Potterfield would build here, I would call him in a minute. It was just a warehouse, all it was.
Shit.
And he bought from everybody, and he resold it. And that's how he made his money. I mean, he gives millions of dollars to the NRA. And they have a roundup program.
And you drive by there on I-70, main highway, you wouldn't even know it's
You
there.
wouldn't
There's
even
no
know it.
signs or nothing. You just drive right by, nobody knows what it is.
Other questions, discussion items? We could look at the warrant if we're done with the candidates.
Do they think we're done with them?
No, we'll get a chance to give their last pitch, but other questions? Y'all came out, you should have a question.
Fine.
People
If,
have to come
if either candidate wins or loses, that's up to the town of Baldwin and the people in this town. But if Dwight should lose, or you should lose, would you run again?
Probably.
Would you run again, Dwight?
I don't know.
Don't give me that hesitant look.
I don't know. It was close this time here. But like I say, I've got too many irons in the fire right now just to walk away.
Okay.
You know, I believe in these guys barehanded right now with some of the stuff we got. Oh, we got the revaluation. We've had a few problems. We know we're going to have some more problems. We know we're going to have some hurdles we're going to have to jump over that. You know, we're still doing the light program in the school. I mean, we got a few things going.
I just would like to make an observation. I'm Glenn Haynes. I'm probably the second oldest person here. I have a guy over there, probably a couple of years on me. Look around. We're talking about the town of Baldwin. We're talking about the future of Baldwin. And I would guess there's nobody here under 40 or 45. He's in
Did I age myself that bad?
We've got another whole group of people that we have to address.
I think it's the same thing though. Any organization you get, it's the same people all the time, whether you're in the fire department, whether you're in the library, whether you're in town government, it's the same ones that are making the ball bounce.
But if we. I sit in the front row at the town meeting too, don't I? But if we weren't here, if this group of people weren't here, who'd you have?
Wouldn't have anybody to talk to.
Thank you, Marjorie, thank you, dear.
Yes. That brings up something that's bothered me for a little while. Right now, we don't have, out of our 3 selectmen, we don't have anybody that's filled 1 full term. Dwight's getting close, but he hasn't completed a term. For many years, we had continuity, and we had the old guys teaching the young pups as they came in, and you know, Norman tried to help me out in the best he could, and he did good. But I'm worried that, and not picking on you for who you are, but just because you're new, I don't know if we need another new kid for at least another term. It's a learning curve. Town government in Baldwin is its own learning curve. You know, Dwight's learning. I mean, he's off the bullheaded, so he learns slowly, but he's learning. I'm not sure.
If you want to continue down with the same status quo and everybody's happy with what's going on with Baldwin, then I'd be like, if you're looking for change, a new set of ideas, and someone that's going to start thinking outside of the box, you know, and speak for the people as a whole, then vote for me. You know?
I'd like some specificity on what happens outside your box. I'm just worried that too many new people don't have the tribal knowledge to get the job done.
I'm 1 vote. There are 2 other people sitting on the board.
The young folks.
All right, we have new voices. Look at this. What'd you do, Norm? You inspired new voices.
I think maybe it's time for the town to have some different blood to run. I think for years we had the same old people, and maybe that's why we're in a position we are now. Because we don't want to get businesses to help the taxpayers. I think maybe we need new blood.
I just want to say, as Dwight's wife, that when he went into this position 3 years ago, he had no idea about town government. He went to the classes that were offered through the Maine Municipal. He has been to almost every single planning board. He has gone out of his way to spend time at home looking up things through Maine Municipal, looking up state statutes, looking up everything that he could find to learn more about what this job entails. This job entails, if you do it properly, about 25 hours a week. And the compensation nowhere near covers it. So if you are going to do this job, you're going to do it because you love this town, not because you're trying to get the money for it, not because you're trying to all of a sudden come in and just change everything around. We are for, most of us, are for business in Baldwin. We would like to have the tax breaks as well, but it's got to be the right business, and it has to be a business that wants us, not just a business that wants to come in here and, you know, use our resources for 2 or 3 years and pull out. They got to be here for the long haul. And that's what we would like to see in Baldwin. That's what I would like to see in Baldwin. I can't speak for everybody, but I think I can speak for some of the people who live here. We've lived in town a long time, and Baldwin's a great town. You know, we don't wanna see a Dollar General there, and we don't wanna see a McDonald's over there. We wanna keep with the small town atmosphere and have good businesses that will help the town, but not be outlandish and overpower us.
And I absolutely agree with you. And I want to thank you, Dwight, for what you've done for this community. You have a lot more experience than I will ever have. I know nothing about Baldwin. And I can tell you, I'm not here for the compensation. Because
It's good, because there is.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like this, where
and you
80 hours a
need to
week.
spend a lot of time, in the town of Baldwin, and I understand that, and it's a big commitment. And I commend you for that. It doesn't have to be big business, it has to be something. It has to be something other than what we're doing right now. And
how many people in this room are aware of the solar panel farms that are coming in? You also bring a lot of money in.
that's 5 now.
You didn't know?
Yes,
Oh, you didn't?
I knew about that.
Okay. Nobody has mentioned it. You talk about bringing business in, that's the right kind of business we want to come in.
Okay.
It's clean, it's low impact on the community. We don't want a big humongous business in here.
That's where we started, yeah.
Different question, or this is a comment. I'd like to respond to what George said. We have 3 brand new selectmen here. The white, 2 more months, so 1 month this month would be full term. So we do have new ideas here. Government works slow, moves slow in changes because it takes so much red tape. And I think that a selectman needs to serve 6 to 9 years before they really make a good dent in the process, what happens in town. I've always had the thought that being a selectman, you spend at least 2/3 of your time living up to state mandates, state laws, and all the regulations necessary, and you only have 1/3 to 1/4 of lateral freedom to create, do something new. So it's not easy to make change. So
Can we agree
do
to
have
disagree about that though? What if you have, I'm not saying that Dwight's the wrong person. Okay, I commend him again for what he's done. But what if you have the wrong person in here? Okay, do you want him in here for that 6 years or that 9 years or that 10 years?
But that's where you get to change it out when the election comes, every 3
But
years.
I'm saying you need to be here for this period of time to mature and to understand the politics of the town and the way the state government works. But if it's the wrong person in here, he shouldn't be back here for another term. Again, nothing against Dwight.
Yeah, we're with that.
So let's do this, because we're in this for about 1:10. I kind of feel like we feel a lot of the main topics. What I'd like to do, unless you guys just say no, I'd like to give them both an opportunity to kind of give a pitch for, after they've heard the ideas that have been out here, give a closing of why you should vote for them. And then we'll open it up on the warrant items and see if there's any warrant items that people want to talk about. And I'm sure these guys will stay for a little while after the meeting if you want to chat with them individually. But does that sound fair? Okay. So which way do we start? Who started? You started. So you get to do you get to choose.
Yeah, the last time that
I'm just making this up.
Pick a number 1 to 2.
I had 2 now, you saw. Okay, here, do the same thing. 1 or 2. If you win, you get it. If you lose,
I'm gonna go 2.
it's 1. If Dwight gets to go first, you go second. Whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever.
One thing that really works, and we've seen in a couple of meetings that we've had and stuff, it's listen to the public. We represent the public. So whatever the public wants is pretty much what you're gonna do and stuff like that. So, I don't know, we try to be open, we try to listen. try to help her out as much as we can. Then, go from there. That's about all I got.
I'll go back to my pitch from the beginning. New ideas, new set of eyes, think outside the box. I mean, just with this group here today, we've talked about 5 different potential tax, big business, small business, whatever we talked about solar farm, talked about pellet mill, we talked about, we already said the dollar store, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Medical marijuana. We talked about 5 or 6 different ideas. So we're talking, I've seen small communities like this just strike a blow away and can't support the fire departments anymore. And they're relying on mutual aid agreements or relying on other departments from other communities to protect their department because A, we don't have enough volunteers or we can't keep up our equipment or our fire departments are falling down. So we need to start thinking outside the box.
What if the box tips over?
Then we're gonna pick it back up and we're gonna start filling it up again. We're never gonna quit. We're gonna keep on trucking down that road. That's, Baldwin's been here for how many years now?
Long time.
A long time. And we're gonna continue going forward. Whether I'm in the seat or whether it's still White, we're gonna continue going forward.
Thank you both. As I said at the start, standing up for public office to put your name out there is difficult. So you both had some tough questions and some tough comments, but understand that everybody out there, I think, appreciates the fact that you were sitting up there and that they have that choice between 2 people. And that's a pretty special thing. So from them, appreciate it. Any questions on the warrant? Let's jump to so we got dog ordinance and we got warrant. Anybody want to talk about anything? Anything doesn't make sense? Yeah.
I just want to make a comment about the fire departments. Yes, we have 3 separate fire departments. One reason is because of the mutual aid from all sections of town and the response time. The other thing, as I mentioned, was, yes, the equipment has to be maintained. Yes, the buildings have to be maintained. But you also have to be trained. That's mandated by the state, not by the town. It used to be an all-volunteer fire department. Now they have to go to training, they have to go to classes, they have to have this type of equipment. So what the town does is they give each of the fire stations money to maintain that, because other than that, they don't have any fundraisers anymore to raise money to buy the new equipment that they mandated by the state. So we're kind of stuck.
Jason, are you asking for about the same as last year in terms of funds, or?
Yeah, the only thing extra would be the additional $10,000 for the roof repair at Station 3, which would be the West Baldwin Station.
How many firemen and fire persons, fire people, are in the department? It's like
25.
25?
I'd say 15 really active, and then the other 10, you see,
Like me.
Right. Just capable of doing anything on the fire department, but you might not see him for a month or so, but
When it hits the fan.
We have monthly meetings, we have an average of 15 to 18 people at each meeting.
How do you guys recruit? I've always been curious, man.
It's mostly word of mouth. I got a buddy that wants to join the fire department, or somebody's moved into town and they've got interest, or like when I moved to town 9 years ago, I had previously been on a fire department in the town that I came from. So I just, my interest rolled over to this town, but it's really, we've, tried years ago, and shopping guide and ad, but you don't really, it takes, I don't want to say just anybody to do the job. It takes somebody that's committed and really, wants to learn and do the training to properly do the job safely.
Yeah.
And, there's not a lot of that anymore. Whether it's the fire department or it's like, what I do for full-time work, you can't find anybody that wants to work.
It's always continuing education, no matter where you work. Certainly, and I support the fire department, police departments, whatever it may be. You need to maintain your license, you need to maintain that certification, and you need to provide that service to your community, and have these licenses. The guys that work for me, my 6 or 7 staff that are in my building over there, they have to maintain, their certification certificates just to work in the facilities department. So, and I understand what happens, with the fire departments. I managed a police department with 5 full-time and 9 part-time people. We were trained constantly. There wasn't a week that didn't go by that we didn't have to train our guys. We had a standard set by the state of Maine through the Maine Criminal Justice Academy. We had a standard. If these guys weren't trained, they lost their license, guess what? I had no police department. That fell on me. So I had to make sure that they, receive their training and their certifications.
So, taking this off the rails, Any particular article that you guys want to talk about?
I talked about an article.
I just wanted to make the remark that I was on the fire department for 56 years. I was town fire chief for 20 years. And everything that these guys are doing now do cost a lot more money, and that there's a lot more chances they're taking, that much more danger than I ever was. So they are worth every penny we're paying for. No question.
That's still about an article.
Which one?
I don't know. Yeah, let's just home. Oh, I know.
An article, I wonder why we don't have an auditor report. They were so busy, you might have one by town meeting, but they were so busy they couldn't put it out for us in time to get it before the town report went to print. So we're hoping, at the town meeting, Bob, you'll see, we'll have some of these dog audits, and we just voted, had a public hearing that last week. You'll see handouts for those and stuff. We've talked to MMA, it's all legal to do this and everything, have handouts and additives and stuff on your meeting and stuff, but that's why.
Any new voices before we go off the rails again?
Are you trying to say something?
Oh, you don't have a question. Go ahead.
I had a question because each of us got in the mail our town report. Correct? If we have a post office box or a mailbox, we all got a town report. Except that there are 2 of us in our family, and I don't share with Glenn on the town report. So I needed another one, and I went to the town and asked for a report. And Danielle's office was, so Deb found me another one, and I trotted out very happy. I know there was a reason for that. I don't quite know what it is. I think it was to save money. And I understand that there are not that many town reports extra to be had at town meeting, so we all must remember to take our town reports with us.
Let me jump on this.
I was thinking it's again. I was going to get to those guys so they can talk about it.
Don't wind her up anymore and she's already gone. Usually you'll get one. 3 years ago, we got complaints all the time and nobody was getting town reports. Remember, they used to throw them in the whistle stop? They used to have them at the post office and stuff like that, yeah. And then we got complaints, nobody, I didn't know anything about it. I said, well, we're gonna take care of that. So, you're gonna get 1 town report per resident. Now, there's 200, I think there was 286 is what we finally voted. There's about 50 extras. So I think what hasn't already been delivered has already been back up to the town office. So there's plenty of town reports for you. If you need 3,
oh no, I don't want one. I got one.
As funny as this is, I see the town of Leamington this year, they're going to stop sending their town reports out to save. I think it costs us around $300 for postage.
Is that all?
Yeah.
I'll donate the $300.
That's just been posted.
It's online.
Yes, it's also online. It's also online. So I looked through the warrant, read through it, and it seemed to me that this was an unusually uncontroversial year, because they usually flip to the back.
Yeah.
Because those of us who've gone to 20 or so town meetings realize they're all in the back, at least they used to be, it's a little different now. But I didn't select, this is really to the selectmen, is there anything unusual in here, kind of out of the ordinary? Because I didn't see it. I didn't see any.
The dog ordinance, yeah.
The dog ordinance is the only one?
We also have another article about the interlock agreement with Tri-Town Waste.
30 years.
30 years, so that's.
So why is that different than historically?
It's not.
Oh, okay.
Yes, to be up on it, so that's not in the town report.
Okay. And are we happy with Tri-Town? Is that a relationship that's worked for us?
Yes.
You know, when our solid waste costs $90,000 a year, plus $15,000 a year to win a reserve account, and I think it's $11,300 some odd dollars. This is the last payment on the truck, so we'll be having that out of it. Cornish, you talk about Cornish. Cornish, $147,000 on solid waste. Parsonsfield, almost $200,000.
They're not part of Tri-Town.
No, they're the two towns that are on the outside of the 5 school district, 5 towns in the school district and stuff. So we've looked at some other stuff, going some other ways, but right now it's about as cheap as we can do it.
And why the dog ordinance?
Yeah.
Why, I mean, we've had dogs in town for many years. Some of them licensed. I mean, he's been talking about, why the dog ordinance this year? What happened?
It makes it easier for the ACO to handle fines instead of going through the state. It's the same laws as the state goes through, but it's just bringing it down to the town level. So if he needs to issue a fine, he can go through us to issue it instead of going to the state. So it makes it a lot easier.
Do we have some problem animals or?
Two.
So it's not just dogs, it's also about, it's also about dealing with animals who are in distress too. I mean, it's not just barking dogs,
And farm animals.
and farm animals
Yes.
that are in distress.
Cruelty to animals, it addresses that.
It's basically giving us legal standings. The town lawyer looked it over, there's loopholes in the old ordinance. So they've rewritten it, basically just verbatim to the state law.
Okay.
So it's just giving us something to stand on.
Anybody have any questions about that?
Is it necessarily to be able to implement a fine or just enforce the law?
Yes.
Well, okay, well, when you said, just to give a fine, like, I think, to some people, that's very, intimidating, like, well, that's where I think, you're getting a lot of the backlash from some people that don't want it, because they think that, because their dog might have run over to the neighbors or this and that they're instantly gonna get a fine. I don't know the deep end of it, but I just, from what I've been asked, I'm like, I think it's just to enforce the law. Whether, you've pulled somebody over for speeding, you don't always give them a ticket.
He's pretty reasonable.
Right, I just think people need to understand that they're not gonna get thrown in jail just because.
Right, no, but it's to protect the people that if their neighbor's dog does come over the house all the time and they want to stop, we have nothing to back up. So this is just a way of
controlling it.
The meeting on this was very informative. He's a very reasonable guy, and he tries to work out the issues of what is the problem with the animal, with the humans, with the fencing, with the whatever it is, and try to resolve that. He said some people are very resistant to solving these problems, so to be able to have numbers that you can add to it and say, if you don't do this, I'm going to write you up. If you still don't do this, I'm going to apply a fine. If you still don't do this, we're going to court. And just walk it in slow, because some people are real slow learners. Others, they look at it and they go, oh yeah, we want to resolve this, no problem. So he, informs them as to what their options are, and they resolve the issue, which is great. And the farm people were very concerned because they weren't sure what that all meant. So we had lots of questions and answers, and if your pygmy goat gets outside the fence on a regular basis, figure out how to keep it in there. Maybe you got to put it in the road to get it back in, I don't know. But yes, resolve those sorts of issues on a very reasonable sort of way, but to have tooth behind it.
Remember, the first time around, it's not a fine, it's a waiver. And the fines are imposed by the courts. When it goes to court, you might impose some other fine.
$5,000 for River Road?
Yep.
Yeah. Is that part of the fine that we're building?
No, that's, yes, a fine. I thought you said fine. And you'll see there's another in there somehow, I don't know how they did it, but there was $26,000 in that account. Somehow it got into the general fund. So we're gonna pull that out of the general fund and keep it into a separate fund. So you'll see the article now and that, so you can vote on it again this year. Be another 5, that'll be 31,000, which you have. What's that now?
I said 1 truckload of asphalt.
Yeah. Yeah. Expensive.
Any, I mean, I'm just asking questions that personally made me curious. Anything else that somebody wants to raise, talk about? I mean, it does seem like a fairly uncontroversial warrant. I saw in the paper there was one town up north that did 56 articles in an hour 26.
Wow.
Don't even think it.
It's a goal for you, David.
I was so impressed. I was trying to find online how to moderate. I was trying to figure out how to moderate could possibly have done it so quickly. But anyways, hopefully we'll be under 3 hours this year. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
David, I moderate Parsonsfield town meeting, and they had theirs in September, strange. This past year, they had 52 hours. I brought it, 52 articles. I brought it in 2 hours and 50 or 55 minutes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And that was a record.
Yeah.
And everybody said, wow, how does that work? It can, look, we've gone to supper time for 1 o'clock.
Yes.
From all
yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We had some controversial stuff.
But yeah, all those articles in an hour and a half. Wow.
Couple more? Yeah. I think we're almost done, folks. Yeah.
I just want to make 2 points. The first point in terms of businesses in the town, and making mention of Cornish, oftentimes location, as they say. So all you gotta do is go from Cornish and go over to Keezer Falls and look at what happened to Keezer Falls. Keezer Falls used to be a thriving town and area when the mill went under, and now it looks like a ghost town. So it too will return, but it's just a matter with Baldwin, if we, and I like what Joe brought up, is that the meetings are open. It doesn't have to come from you with your catalyst to draw everybody, and they rally the crew and everybody's in here and the glands are secreting, we're gonna get business. No, it doesn't have to be you. It can be you. If you have an idea and they have a selectmen's meeting, go and share that information. Say, you got all these rooms, I've been thinking about this, and if they say, oh no, get out of here, we don't want your input, we don't, no, they would welcome that. They want business just as much as we do, but to echo Connie, we like to have good businesses, and, you know, that's all it's about.
I'm working on it.
All right, so last comment, yeah.
Just one more thing, selectmen and the people may want to remember, more people do not mean lower taxes.
Portland's taxes would be the lowest in the state if it did.
That's true. We had a development come in Eastboro. So next year, our taxes went up by 1/3. So development does not necessarily mean lower taxes, remember that.
Let's end on that. If you guys would indulge me and give a round of applause for these 2 guys. Yeah, make sure you vote, make sure you tell your neighbors to vote, make sure everybody votes, because it's super important. Come to town meeting, as many people as possible. If you know anybody who wants to be on the school board, we have an open spot for our school board position, one of the 3 on the school board. So if you know anybody, who's interested, or somebody you could cajole to be interested, talk about it, because it's really important. That is the place we put more money than anything else. So think about trying to get somebody in that position. All right, we're gonna end.